Masulipatinam. Masulipatinam or Machlipatinam, fish port town, located on the Krishna River delta, was a hotbed of activities in the 17th century. The Dutch and the English East India Companies competed to control Masulipatinam when it became the most important port on the Andhra coast. The Dutch built the fort at Masulipatinam. To prevent the various East India Companies from dominating the trade, the Qutub Shahi rulers of Golconda imposed royal monopolies on the sale of textiles, spices, and other items. Various trading groups, the Golconda nobles, Persian merchants, Telugu Komati Chettis, and European traders competed with each other for trade, making the cities populous as well as prosperous. With the expansion of Mughal power to India, their representative, Governor Mir Jumla, began to incite the Dutch and the English against each other. After Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb annexed Golconda in 1686 to 1687, the European companies had to look for other places. The English East India Company got ambitious and formulated a new policy directing extension of their political, administrative and commercial controls. The company trade centres were not to remain mere ports having connections with the production centres. Masulipatinam's glory declined when the company traders moved to Bombay, Mumbai, Calcutta, Kolkata, and Madras, Chennai. It lost its merchants and affluence both during the 18th century. New towns and traders. The English, Dutch, and French formed East India Companies in the 16th and 17th centuries, primarily to expand their commercial trading activities in the East. They targeted Indian spices and textiles hugely popular in Europe and West Asia. Seasoned Indian traders like Mullah Abdul Ghaffur and Virji Vora owned ships. Initially, they got in a competition with them. Unable to withstand the naval might of the European companies, Indian traders were forced to work as the European company's agent. Eventually, the English emerged triumphant. They successfully established control over commerce and politics in the subcontinent. Increased demand for Indian textiles encouraged more and more people to join associated activities like spinning, weaving, bleaching, dyeing, etc. The finesse of Indian textiles designs improved consistently. During this period, the craftspersons lost independence to sell their own cloth or weave their own pattern. They had to weave cloth as promised to the European agents in lieu of a paltry advance amount. They merely replicated the designs supplied to them by the company agents. Bombay, Calcutta and Madras, the nodal cities today, were emerging as important commercial centres in the 18th century. Crafts and commerce experienced major changes. The merchants and artisans like weavers were shifted to the black towns created by the European companies within these new cities for the blacks or the natives. The white rulers stationed themselves in superior residence of Fort St. George, Madras, or Fort William, Calcutta.
Before we move on to the next topic, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.
Vasco da Gama and Christopher Columbus. In the 15th century, the European sailors looked for unexplored sea routes to reach the Indian subcontinent to obtain spices. Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor, navigated along the African coastline, rounded the Cape of Good Hope and sailed across the Indian Ocean to reach Calicut on India's west coast. After a year-long journey the first time, he touched Calicut in 1498, The next year, he returned to Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. En route, he lost 2 of his 4 ships. Only 54 out of 170 crew member at the start of the journey survived. Vasco da Gama opened up an extremely profitable route to India. He was followed by the English, Dutch and French sailors. The search for sea routes to India had an unexpected development when Christopher Columbus, an Italian sailor, assuming the earth to be round, sailed westward across the Atlantic Ocean to explore a sea route to India. He, however, reached islands named West Indies by him in 1492. The Spanish and Portuguese sailors and conquerors following Columbus' sea route reached Central and South America and destroyed the local settlements. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. The Salya weavers of Thanjavur and Urayur towns produced cloth for the temple festival flags, fine cottons for the kings and nobility, and coarse cotton for the commoners. The traders usually travelled in caravans and formed guilds to protect their interests while passing through various forests and kingdoms. Bidar developed as a famous town for its craftspersons inlay work in copper and silver called Bidri. Some towns like Ahmedabad, Gujarat, developed into major commercial cities, but some like Thanjavur reduced in size and stature over the centuries. Murshidabad, West Bengal, on the banks of the Bhagirathi, which rose to prominence as a centre for silks, became the capital of Bengal in 1704. Surat in Gujarat, along with Cambay or Khambad, and later on Ahmedabad, was referred to as gateway for trade with West Asia via the Gulf of Ormuz during the Mughal period. In the 17th century, the Portuguese, Dutch and English had their factories and warehouses at Surat. Hampi, located in the Krishna-Tungabhadra basin, the focal point of the Vijayanagara Empire, was founded in 1336. Masulipatanam or Machilipattanam, fishport town, lying on the Krishna River Delta, was a hotbed of intense activities in the 17th century. With Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's annexure of Golconda in 1686 to 1687, the European companies had to look for alternatives. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the English, Dutch, and French formed East India companies to expand their commercial trading activities in the East.